Oh boy. And we're back.
Okay, yeah, it looks like we're back.
I think maybe we said the wrong thing and we got
taken down.
we got booted.
We got kicked off.
Now we have to go and see if we can actually see ourselves streaming.
Yep.
Which is funny.
Yep, it's working there.
All right. So finish your thought about Mr. Ryan Long, the comedian.
I was talking about Ryan Long before we were interrupted there. He does these political sketches, and one of his more recent ones is kind of commenting on the whole, experts agree narrative. Experts agree on this, experts agree on that. And the reality is they don't. About almost every issue, there are plenty of experts and scientists in the field that disagree, whether it's about some minor thing or whether it's about the entire narrative. They have data to back up their opinions, right? Like it's pretty open, a lot of these conversations, even though they, the NPCs want you to believe it's a shut and closed case.
Okay, hold on. No, you just said something that nobody's going to understand. NPC.
People know on the internet what NPC
Well,
is.
not everybody. People that are watching this might not know, so why don't you explain it? A boomer. Wow.
NPC is a playable character in a video game. The idea is that a certain percentage of the population isn't really
aware.
They're more pure id than.
So they're just not aware of what's going on around them, like on a.
They haven't transcended the monkey.
Yeah. Oh.
They're just the monkey.
He dropped it.
They're pure monkey. And they, this kind of person wants these conversations to be open and shut, right? Here's the answer, especially when it's something that sounds important, even if it isn't important, or, something that they think is important, whether they're right or wrong, they want it to be an open and shut case. And so Ryan Long's comedy sketch is basically there's an expert talking to the camera. He's like, here's what we think about this issue, and we all agree. And then this other expert walks in the room. It's like, actually, I have some data that says something slightly different, and so my opinion varies from yours. And he just punches him in the gut and just starts beating on him.
That's funny.
And that's kind of, but that's kind of how it is now.
Yeah.
You have scientists posting data and getting kicked off of the internet for posting that data because it's wrongthink. Because we live in...
Isn't that the worst thing, too? And it's that what you just said as far as the experts agree. That's such a stupid statement.
It's
because,
loaded,
100% of the experts agree?
Expert is a loaded term.
No, but it's just funny, though. It's
what's
like...
an expert?
Like that sort of... That insinuates that every expert there is agrees.
Yeah.
It's like the 4 out of 5 dentists.
Yeah. 9 out of 10 dentists.
It's that baloney line,
say.
right? They use that baloney line forever. What 5 dentists did you get? Yes.
You have sampling and everything.
Well, that's what I mean. It's silly. It's a silly statement. It's a silly statement on its face. It's like I could say, oh yeah, hey, 4 out of my 5 friends think I'm awesome.
But people
they're all
will
your
run
friends?
with it. People will run with it. CNN will say experts agree, and they'll go to their friends. Well, experts agree.
Yeah.
CNN's citing themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Or the best one now is the anonymous source. An anonymous source. Oh, so you mean no one?
Yeah.
Like before,
Literally.
they used to have to actually say who their source was. They had to put it in the source file, essentially saying, "Here, this is where we got that information from." But there's no accountability anymore to that. Nobody has to say anything to that kind of stuff. That kind of thing. It's pretty funny where we've gone with that. But I don't know. If we were trying to pull it back to the original thing we were talking about with Rogan and Gupta, I think it's funny because the best thing about Rogan is he'll have guys like that, and it's funny how Gupta says he refers to going into the lion's den.
Right.
Yeah, the lion's den.
The lion's den.
Yeah, a guy.
Well, to these people, the lion's den is an honest and open conversation.
Yeah. Where
they don't get to define the rules and bully you out of it, basically.
Apparently, I love the lion's den then because I can't stand. Well, it's not that I can't stand. It's fine every once in a while being in an echo chamber, but really, I would get bored of conversations. So if you're having conversations and someone's just absolutely agreeing with everything you say and they have nothing to add to it,
Exactly.
that's ridiculous. I want to.
You don't move forward that way.
Right. I want to have a great debate. I mean, you and I, we typically agree on fundamental stuff, I think. And
I
then
think
we
agree on morality, which is a good stepping stone to where you can kind of, you know, it's hard to engage honestly with somebody who you do not agree on
morally with.
basic moral principles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then you don't know. It's almost like they could be coming from a perspective that you think is just morally wrong, and or I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but
yeah, no, I get what you mean. It's funny because I had a guy that worked for me quite a while back. He was a pastor, and well, he still is a pastor. Really, really good guy. And because I'm not really a religious guy, or I should say I'm not religious. I don't know what I am, to be honest. I'm agnostic, essentially. But anyways, I would work with him.
Change that tonight.
Yeah. You're gonna make me a believer. But him and I would have great conversations about religion and such, right? And right. I'd punish him, honestly, out of humor. Like it wasn't coming from an evil place, but I did like to mess with him, right, all the time. Mm-hmm. And the guy had such a good personality, or has, I should say. He's not dead or anything, so I'm saying
he used to.
Yeah, he used to. He changed, but the guy has such a good personality that he was able to take my, harmless. I wasn't meaning anything by it. My harmless riffing on religion and such, and questioning and such, and I would question him hard sometimes. And he'd take it, he'd smile, and he said he would thank me at times. He'd go, look, I'd apologize. I'd say, I'm sorry, I don't mean to come down on you too hard about it or mess with you too much. And he goes, no, honestly, he goes, thanks. He goes, I'll do a sermon, and I'll have people asking me questions. He goes, I want to be sharp. He goes, so when you ask me these questions, he goes, some of them
it
I know. It
forces him to think about.
Right. He goes, some of them I know are a little ridiculous, and I know that you mean them as a ridiculous thing because you're just trying to get a laugh or a rise out of me type thing. He goes, but it challenges me and it makes me think differently. And he goes, I think it makes me a better pastor. I was like, it was funny because when he said it, I was so taken back by it was like the turn the cheek, right? I'm messing with him, and he just turns the cheek and thanks me for the messing. So I'm like, I remember saying to him, I'm like, you're such a good guy. You're such an easygoing guy that you make it easy for me to talk to you about anything, knowing that you're a heavily religious guy.
Right.
It'd be like hanging out with a cop. If you hung out with the wrong cop, you'd always feel like everything you did might be scrutinized. Oh, we can't do that. Well, we can't walk across the street here because the light's red. He's going to get us on jaywalking.
Yes.
But if you're with a cool cop, and he's just like, no, listen, the cop, when I'm a cop, I uphold the law, but when I'm not, fuck it. I'm just a guy, right? Just a guy. And you could really feel that, then you'd feel comfortable with him. That's the way he was. You could just feel comfortable with him because you felt like the whole religious thing was there, but he wasn't gonna judge you based on the fact that you weren't. And then he did try. He made his efforts to try and, recruit me, if you will.
Yeah.
But, I like open-minded people. I like to think I'm an open-minded person. I like to think. Hopefully I'm right about it. I'm definitely open to discussion. I love discussion. But if you're coming lazy at me with a lazy discussion, don't expect that you're going to make me come along with you or see your point of view.
Can I make you come?
Ooh.
Is that
You see? Look how that changed. That whole statement changed because you didn't follow it up with a couple extra words.
Lightning.
Yeah. So you can just change everything from that. But yeah. And again, I like to do this. I'm going to bring it back. Oh, yeah.
I wonder if that
was a good one.
Goes through on
there. They should probably hear that through it. We got some lightning over here, folks.
It's a bit of a storm going on.
Yeah, a bit of a storm. So if we drop, that's why.
That would be it.
If we drop dead, that's why too.
Yes. Well, I don't know. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
Struck by lightning here. Just come straight through the roof.
But again, to bring back to the propaganda machine, I think that unfortunately they do it differently now. I think their only way now to push propaganda is to touch on people's emotions about it. I'm a good
to be
person
emotional,
because
but it's
I
also
believe this.
it's also the censorship. It's
Yeah.
the hiding things that
Yeah.
they disagree with, the taking it down, the banning of channels, the
Yeah.
shadow banning.
Oh yeah, no, that stuff will probably always happen because with like I don't want to say certain uh, certain broadcast networks, if you will. I won't name names, but I think they're always going to be a bit partisan. They're always going to be leaning to one side because people are running these things. If you had an autonomous,
There are people that are working on it though.
right. If you had an
They're working
autonomous,
on like an open source, decentralized kind of system where it isn't like you have to go to YouTube.
I
for
think
something
that's how
where-
Facebook started. Until they got big, and I think what happens is you start with like an open source like that. It's like, okay, for example, it's like a great politician at first, right? You get a first term politician who's like full of piss and vinegar. He's like, yeah, I'm going to change this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and he gets in and he becomes a product of the system because he realizes, I should say she. I don't know why I'm using gender term roles here, but they realize when they get into that system that they can't change it. So they just become a part of it. So I think that's what will end up happening with some of these new, sites or
Well, no,
new
the decentralized is the big word.
Because you're thinking with almost like Bitcoin type thing where it's decentralized, where they don't.
Yeah, kind of. Where no one is in control of the network.
But look what's even happening with Bitcoin.
What's happening with Bitcoin?
All the institutions are buying it up like crazy. They're going to control.
Well, yeah,
it
but that's because they know the dollar's going. Yeah, Bitcoin's going to.
Well, that's what I'm
they're
saying.
going to try to regulate it. There's going to
Of course
be
they
weird things that's going to happen with crypto and Bitcoin and everything. But no, the thing is, if you basically this isn't a problem, or this wasn't a problem, right, when the internet first started. And now specifically people are working on a solution for the problem, right? So the solution is power corrupts and absolute power corrupts, or the problem is power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Any of these companies get too big, they are going to become corrupted, which has happened with all of them. So if you can make it so that it isn't a giant corporation, where it's a completely decentralized network, where it's you host your own stuff, like you were the one hosting your stuff. So someone, Twitter can exist, and the Twitter side of things might be able to be like, you know what, no, you can't exist over here. But because you're hosting your own thing over here, people who are connected to the bigger network, they follow you specifically instead of following you on Twitter.
Right.
So if Twitter decides that they don't want you on their platform, people who want to follow you still get to follow you. It doesn't interrupt them. They don't have to chase you to other platforms because Twitter, deleted. Twitter took away your right to follow that person.
Right.
If you want to frame it that way, I like framing.
Do you
it that
think
way.
that though, because so I don't know what to call them. I would say let's just say the mainstays. And I think right now, if you use Facebook, YouTube, like you say these guys are sort of the mainstays. If you take someone, let's say you and I even, right, with this podcast gets a little bit big and we have a number of subscribers and followers and such, and we're monetizing it. Do you think then if you're monetizing, you're making a certain amount of money off of, say, YouTube or Facebook, if you're less likely or less willing to say the controversial things or say the things that you feel like would get you shadow banned or get you demonetized anymore now because you have something to lose? Like where you and I right now, we don't have anything to lose. We can just say whatever the heck we want.
Right.
People watch, they want to watch, they don't want to watch, so what? But so for example, let's take Joe Rogan. If Joe Rogan didn't do a deal with Spotify, where he's no matter what, like they did a deal now that it doesn't, unless he breaches, there's not a lot of
he's allowed to do what he wants,
obligations.
allegedly.
Yeah, the obligations of the contract is that he has to put a certain amount of podcasts out, and I think now that he has to do advertisements. Certain advertisements. That's why you see when you're watching the podcast get these advertisements. I think that was always going to be there. I'm pretty sure because when I read an article on the initial sort of thing on it. But the autonomy is pretty damn good, what he's got. So he's got less worry. He can just say what he wants. He can kind of do what he wants. But you still see him stumble at times where he says, "Look, I can't do this. We can't put that on. We can't do that." So he has to
Yeah.
stay within restrictions, but he has most freedom that way because monetarily he's not really going to get hurt. But other people, you know, if they're getting, you want to hurt somebody, you attack their wallet, right? You don't, you know, that's the best way anyway, right? So I don't know. I feel like I'm a cynic.
That's where the concept of
Decentralized.
FU money comes from.
Oh yeah. If you got but that's the thing. A lot of people don't.
No, there's a point.
Know when their FU money is.
You know, that's what I was gonna say. We have billionaires who don't have FU money.
Right.
Because it's not a dollar amount. It's
subjective. You know? It's whatever it is to you.
Yeah, it's
FU money to me might be $1 million. FU money to you might be 100 million. It could be a lot less. Yeah, it could be.
I don't know. I would say 100,000
is a bit of FU money.
Yeah, well, I think it's FU money for. I think I can do with the $100,000. I could be very comfortable in life. I wouldn't, you know, I would have to work, but it would be what I want to do rather than, you know, having to do a harder, crappier job just to, you know, make it decent.
So what do you mean? If you had $100,000 right now or access to, that would change your life.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez. So my FU money is a lot higher than yours because I've got access to that
I think with $100,000 I can make $1,000 a week easily, $500 playing it more safely, and then you got $2,000 a month coming in. Add on to that, you know, a job that you enjoy doing rather than, you know, that maybe doesn't pay all that much, and then there's your $4,000 a month, and then you don't need much more. You don't need that's way more than you need.
Well, I'm at a point now where I can do what I want to do, sort of. To some extent.
But yeah, so like what I'm saying is, you know, the bar for me is pretty low because I don't think about FU money as, okay, well, I'm going to go buy a big house and a nice car and live on a ranch. I think about FU money as like, okay, well, if I have this, I don't have to do what anybody tells me to do, basically. You know, I can, you know, because that works the same when it comes to that job, because you'd be like, oh, okay, well, you're still going to be working. Well, it's like, no, I have enough money to support myself to be out of work for a year or two if I needed to be. But also at the same time, we're talking about low level jobs where you're just kind of, you know, you're thinking, okay, this is fun to do. I enjoy doing this. So if you get in a situation where you have a shitty boss, you can actually be like, no, F you. I'm going to go to that other company over there that does the same thing, and I'm going to go work for them instead. Or I'm going to, you know, I'm going to make a shift and I'm going to go over here instead and try this thing, you know? Instead of,
Yeah. Oh, I get your point. I mean, I kind of, like, I don't have FU money. What I would consider FU money, but I have probably what you would consider FU money for sure.
Yeah, if I had your kind of wealth, I would be saying FU with every day of my life.
But it's funny. I'm with you on that. Because I think when COVID hit, you know, I'm using a word to get a shadow band again. I'm kidding.
It's only if you say it's not real, stuff
which
like that.
We all know it's real.
Yeah.
But I think when COVID started, I, you know, not right away, obviously, but when I realized that this was like a real thing, I think I started to change my mindset on certain things. I started to say, all right, instead of doing things purely for money or for the financial gain, I'm going to do things that I enjoy that hopefully I can monetize, you know, substantially in a way that I can be comfortable as well, right? So I started doing that. Obviously, buying a property was a big thing too, but it's different though. Like I think the shift happened. I think the big shift was in my mind. It was instead of, you know, living to work essentially. That's because that's what I was doing at that before COVID.
Oh yeah.
It went to work for a living. Like I was putting in 110, 120 hours of work and doing my side stuff, and I was working all the time. Now it's like, oh no, I enjoy free time. That's why I created a great space here that you know I can enjoy and stuff. But I think when you make that shift, maybe then you have, at least you have, maybe you don't have FU money, but you could very quickly get to that point, right? Or maybe you already had FU money. Like maybe I already have FU money. Oh, oops! I shook the table.
You're doing a lot of shakiness. Yeah.
Yeah. Oops.
We can solve that. I have an idea to solve that. We can just set up the tripods instead.
Oh yeah.
So the cameras won't shake.
Yeah. Look at that. He's the technical guy.
Solving problems as we go.
We apologize for him shaking. It's not because he's shaking his leg or anything, even though he is doing a little bit of something.
Yeah.
I had a friend who would always do this. Well, I have a friend that would always do this.
I do that all the time.
I can imagine him on a podcast. He'd be doing this.
I'm always going. Always going. It's only me who's shaking. Is it maybe like...
No, it's probably it's both of us. Like, in that camera... Oh, that camera is... Yeah, it is shaking. See how it's shaking? Here, I'm going to reach across and...
No, I don't. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's like on the edge or something. There we go. I just helped it along. Now I look a little taller than you.
No, we can't have that.
Yeah. Just so everyone knows, I am taller than Tyler.
He's
Tyler
6'5", 250 pounds. The dude's a beast.
Yeah. Actually,
Stands at 5 foot nothing.
actually
Has no hair.
You can pretty much reverse the 6'5". That's almost what I am.
5 foot 6.
5'6.5".
52 pounds.
52 kilograms.
Kilograms.
It's not much better.
No,
That's like
that's still really low.
That's like 106 pounds or something. Yeah. I'm 52 kilograms. Ugh. Yeah, I'm a little potato sack. Yeah. I mean, I think if we want to end this podcast in a minute here. But let's wrap it up. I mean, I don't know where we'd wrap it up, to be honest. We started with the Joe Rogan podcast with Gupta. We got into some other things where we're transcending into some other things, monkey things here and there.
Monkey things here and there. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could just summarize that we're going to try to do this regularly. It's going to be conversations, current events,
Funny
interesting
stuff.
ideas, whatever's on our mind, we'll come and we'll discuss. And the whole goal is to transcend the monkey. We're going to try to better ourselves through conversing and having
interesting conversations.
Ideas pass through our brains to nuance our worldviews. That's the goal here.
Yeah, and if anyone watches this, which I'm sure there will be
Both
some.
of you.
Yeah, all two of you watching this.
We need you to subscribe. No.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we got to do the subscribe thing.
Yeah.
If you can hit subscribe, that'd be fantastic too. That'll help us out.
That's cool.
But also, more important. Well, not even more importantly. Just more importantly for the short term, if you could put a comment on different things, or maybe a comment for a future episode of our podcast. If you want us to talk about something, or you've got an idea on some of the things we've said, or maybe you disagree with some of the things we've said.
Feel free to engage.
Engage with us. We'd love that, right? Because he
disagree.
He gets
agree.
irritating. Just so you know.
That's what he thinks.
Yeah,
That's what he says. That's what he tells
very,
people.
very, very irritating. So we need something to break the irritant.
All right.
Yeah, I think that about does it.